Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. D1. Marcus Aurelius. Women are drawn to men who embody strength, not just physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual strength. True masculinity isn't about dominance, arrogance, or flashy displays of power. It's about discipline, confidence, and a presence that demands respect without needing to seek it. The Stoics mastered the art of self-discipline and self-mastery, and the habits they lived by made them men of influence, power, and attraction. If you want to become the kind of man that women can't resist, then you must cultivate the right habits that exude confidence, intelligence, leadership, and discipline. Stay with me until the end of this video, because every chapter unlocks a fundamental truth about masculine power and how to embody it effortlessly. And if you find this valuable, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's dive into the 7 masculine habits that women find irresistible. Chapter 1. Exercise daily. A strong body reflects a strong mind. The way a man treats his body says everything about his discipline, his self-respect, and his ability to push through discomfort. A man who exercises daily isn't just working on his physique, he's sculpting his mindset, shaping his resilience, and setting the foundation for success in every other area of his life. Women are naturally drawn to men who are physically active, not just because of the aesthetic appeal, but because of what it represents. Strength, dedication, self-mastery. When a man commits to a daily workout, whether it's weightlifting, running, martial arts, or even something as simple as a morning walk, he's proving that he values himself. And a man who values himself commands respect. A man who takes care of his physical form sends an unspoken message that he takes life seriously, that he's capable of leading, protecting, and providing. But it's not just about looking good. Exercise increases testosterone, which fuels confidence, assertiveness, and emotional stability. It reduces stress, improves mental clarity, and creates an energy that women can feel when they're around you. When you make exercise a daily ritual, you radiate a different kind of presence, one that is built on consistency, drive, and an unwillingness to let life dictate your path. This isn't just about health, it's about the kind of man you are becoming. Compare a man who slouches on the couch all day, tired and unmotivated, to a man who wakes up, hits the gym, and carries himself with power. Who do you think she'll be drawn to? The answer is obvious. The man who moves with purpose, who carries himself with energy, who has a fire in his eyes, he is the one who commands attention. Physical movement is a non-negotiable masculine habit. Weak men avoid discomfort. Strong men embrace it. The gym, the track, the mat, or even the open road where you run, it all becomes a battleground where you prove to yourself that you are more than your excuses. Consistency in exercise doesn't just build muscle, it builds an unshakable mindset. Each rep in the gym, each mile on the road, each push-up, squat, or sprint reinforces discipline. And discipline is the backbone of masculinity. A man who can control his body can control his emotions. A man who pushes through fatigue and soreness in training can push through life's challenges with the same intensity. There's also the deeper psychological element at play. When you exercise, your body rewards you with dopamine, the feel-good chemical. This not only boosts your mood, but reinforces positive habits. Over time, this consistency builds into a cycle where you crave a challenge, you look forward to the struggle, and you welcome the pain, because you know that on the other side of that pain is progress. Women notice this. They don't just see your physique, they sense your drive. They feel your discipline. And make no mistake, your body tells a story. A well-built, strong body speaks of commitment, of years of effort, of a refusal to settle for mediocrity. A weak, out-of-shape body tells the opposite story: laziness, neglect, a lack of control. The truth is, your body is a reflection of how you handle life. When you take the time to train, when you push yourself beyond your limits, you're showing that you refuse to be another man who drifts through life without purpose. You become the kind of man who stands out in any room, the kind of man who doesn't need to say a word to command respect. And let's be honest, being in great shape puts you at an advantage in every aspect of life. Women admire it, men respect it, and society rewards it. Your confidence skyrockets, your presence becomes undeniable, and you start seeing yourself differently. You start believing in your own power, not just in the gym, but in every situation. Whether it's in business, relationships, or social settings, a strong man moves differently. He carries himself with the knowledge that he can handle himself in any situation. So, what's stopping you? What excuse could possibly justify neglecting your body, your mind, and your future? The weights will always be there, waiting. The road will always stretch ahead, daring you to run it. The choice is yours: remain stagnant or take control. If you want to be a man who turns heads, commands respect, and walks with the quiet confidence of someone who knows his worth, start today. News. Train. Sweat. Earn your strength. And watch how the world responds differently to you. Chapter 2. Fuel your body with nutrition. Everything about you, your energy, your mindset, your confidence, starts with what you put into your body. Food isn't just fuel. It's a direct reflection of your self-respect, your discipline, and your ability to control your own desires. And a man who understands this, he stands apart. Look around. Weak men are everywhere, bloated, sluggish, exhausted. They move through life half asleep, addicted to processed junk, sugar, and convenience. They have no control over their own impulses, no mastery over their own cravings. They live to satisfy their momentary hunger, their fleeting desires. And it shows. Their bodies are weak, their minds are slow, their energy is drained. But a strong man? A man of discipline? He treats his body like a weapon, like a machine, like a temple. He doesn't eat mindlessly. He fuels himself with purpose, with intention. He understands that every bite he takes is either sharpening him or weakening him. There is no in-between. Imagine a warrior from ancient times. Would he stuff himself with sugar, fried foods, and empty calories? Would he let his body be poisoned by laziness and indulgence? Never. He would eat for strength. He would consume what fuels his body, what sharpens his mind, what makes him battle-ready. Because he knows that his survival depends on his sharpness, his endurance, his power. And this is what modern men have forgotten. They consume without thinking. They eat like children, driven by impulse, not by reason. But a man who takes control of his diet, who fuels his body like a high-performance machine, that man is rare. And what is rare is always valuable. Women see this. They feel it. A man who eats with discipline doesn't just look better, he moves differently. He has more energy. His skin glows with vitality. His posture is stronger. His eyes are sharper. He exudes power, control, and self-respect. And here's the truth most men don't want to hear: the way you eat reveals the way you live. If you have no control over what you put into your own body, you likely have no control over anything else in your life. Weak men indulge. Strong men master themselves. And a man who masters himself is always attractive. This isn't about obsessing over calories or chasing fad diets. It's about making conscious choices every single day that elevate you, that sharpen you, that make you feel like a man who can take on anything. And when a woman sees that you take care of yourself, that you fuel your body like a warrior, like a king, like a man who values his own existence, she will notice. Because deep down, women aren't just attracted to a strong body. They are drawn to the discipline, the control, the self-respect that it takes to build one. A man who lets himself rot from the inside out, who treats his body like a trash can, who eats like a mindless animal. She might tolerate him, but she will never truly admire him. So what's it going to be? Will you be like the masses, weak, undisciplined, ruled by cravings and comfort? Or will you take control of the one thing you have absolute power over, yourself? Because in the end, a man who eats with discipline lives with discipline. And a man who lives with discipline? He dominates his world. Chapter 3. Be a man with manners. Masculinity isn't about domination. It's about controlled power. Strength without restraint is just recklessness. Confidence without respect is just arrogance. Women aren't drawn to brute force or blind aggression. They're drawn to a man who carries himself with dignity, who knows his strength but doesn't have to flaunt it, who moves through the world with quiet, unwavering confidence. A man with manners isn't weak, he's disciplined. He understands that true strength isn't about proving yourself at every opportunity, but about mastering yourself so completely that you never feel the need to. It's about respecting yourself and others, regardless of their status. A strong handshake, direct eye contact, a calm and composed voice, these things command respect without demanding it. And women notice. The little things matter. Opening doors. Standing when she enters the room. Giving up your seat for someone who needs it more. Saying please and thank you without hesitation. These gestures aren't about impressing anyone. They're about embodying the kind of man who moves with grace, with intention, and with a quiet but undeniable presence. Most men today have lost this. They either shrink away from responsibility and become passive, or they go to the other extreme, loud, aggressive, trying too hard to prove they're dominant. But real masculinity isn't in extremes. It's in balance. A man who is calm but firm, kind but unshakable, respectful but never weak. That's the kind of man who commands attention without ever raising his voice. Women recognize the difference instantly. They see the way a man treats others. How he speaks to the waiter, how he interacts with strangers, how he carries himself in every situation. And make no mistake, they judge you based on this. If you're rude to people you think are beneath you, if you're careless with your words, if you treat others with indifference, she notices. And she loses respect for you. A man of true character treats everyone with the same level of respect, not because he's trying to look good, but because it's who he is. He doesn't just turn on the charm when he's trying to impress a woman. His respect, his manners, his controlled presence, it's constant, it's effortless, and it's real. And that's why chivalry isn't dead, it's just rare. And what is rare is valuable. Most men today either don't care or don't understand the power of presence. But when a woman encounters a man who does, it's unforgettable. She's used to men who are either too timid to take action or too loud, too self-absorbed to show genuine respect. But a man who walks with quiet confidence. A man who holds himself to a higher standard, not because he has to, but because that's just who he is. That's the kind of man who stays in her mind long after he's left the room. And this is what separates real men from boys playing dress-up. Boys seek approval. They show off. They try too hard. But a real man knows who he is, and because of that, he never has to prove anything. Think of the most powerful, respected figures in history. They weren't the ones constantly boasting about their status. They were the ones who moved with quiet certainty. They were the ones who spoke with purpose, who led with grace, who didn't need to raise their voice to be heard. A lion doesn't need to roar to be feared. He simply exists in his power, and the world recognizes it without question. That's the kind of masculinity that draws women in. Not forced, not faked, just a deep, effortless strength that's impossible to ignore. So, if you want to be the kind of man that women admire, respect, and are drawn to, don't focus on acting tough. Focus on being solid. Master your presence. Master your words. Master your behavior. Because when you carry yourself like a man of worth, the world, and the women in it, will take notice. Chapter 4. Lead by example. A real man doesn't wait for permission. He doesn't look around the room to see what everyone else is doing before making a move. He sets the standard. He walks his own path with certainty, making decisions based on his values, his goals, and his principles, not on external validation. Women don't admire a man who hesitates, who constantly second-guesses himself, or who needs approval to take action. They admire the man who knows who he is, where he's going, and how to lead. But here's the key: leadership isn't about control, it's about mastery over yourself. Too many men mistake leadership for dominance, thinking they need to impose their will on others. That's not strength. That's insecurity disguised as power. True leadership starts from within. Can you take responsibility for your life? Can you make the hard choices, even when they're uncomfortable? Can you stick to your principles when the world tempts you to break them? A man who can't lead himself is in no position to lead others. If you crumble under pressure, if you let your emotions dictate your actions, if you're easily swayed by the opinions of others, you're not leading, you're following. And women see right through that. They don't trust a man who's unstable, uncertain, or directionless. They trust a man who moves with purpose, who takes action without hesitation, and who stands firm when life tests him. Women feel safe with a man who leads. And it's not just about physical safety, it's about emotional and psychological security. When a man leads, a woman doesn't have to second-guess his strength. She doesn't have to wonder if he'll collapse under pressure. She doesn't have to question whether he'll be able to handle the storms that life throws at him. She just knows. Because he knows. And here's the thing: leadership is rare. Most men drift through life, waiting for someone else to show them the way. They follow trends, they conform, they avoid making decisions because they fear making the wrong one. But the man who steps up and takes charge? That man stands out. That man attracts. That man demands respect without ever having to ask for it. Look at history. The most powerful, desirable men weren't the ones who blended into the background. They were the ones who carved their own paths, who refused to be swayed by the crowd, who had the courage to go against the grain when necessary. A leader doesn't care if his choices are unpopular. He cares if they're right. And that's another thing: true leadership isn't about ego. A weak man leads for validation. He wants to be admired, praised, and followed. A strong man leads because he believes in something greater than himself. His purpose is bigger than his personal gain. He leads because he knows the world needs strong, steady hands to guide it. But this doesn't mean leadership is about barking orders or always being in control. The best leaders listen more than they speak. They observe. They adapt. They make the tough calls not because they enjoy power, but because they understand that someone has to take responsibility. Women don't respect a man who avoids responsibility. They admire the man who takes ownership of his actions, his choices, and his life. And here's something that separates real leaders from pretenders: composure under pressure. A man who panics, who lashes out in frustration, who breaks down the moment things go wrong. That's not leadership. That's weakness. A true leader remains calm even when the world is crumbling around him. He doesn't let chaos shake him. He doesn't let fear dictate his choices. He moves forward, steady and unshaken, because he knows that leadership means staying strong even when it's hard. That kind of steadiness is magnetic. Women are naturally drawn to men who exude confidence, who make decisions with certainty, who take action when others hesitate. They don't want to carry a man, they want to follow a man who knows the way forward. That's why a leader doesn't chase. He doesn't need to. Women, opportunities, and respect naturally gravitate toward a man who leads with strength and purpose. But make no mistake, leadership is earned. It's not something you can fake. You can't just pretend to be decisive or confident. You have to build it from within. You have to cultivate discipline, master your emotions, develop a strong sense of purpose, and take full responsibility for your actions. You have to become the man that others trust and look up to, not because you demand it, but because you've proven yourself through your actions, through your discipline, through your unwavering commitment to your values. So ask yourself, are you leading your life? Or are you being led by circumstances, by fear, by the expectations of others? Are you taking charge, making decisions, and standing by them? Or are you drifting, waiting for someone else to tell you what to do? Because at the end of the day, the world follows those who lead. And women? They follow a man who knows the way. Chapter 5. Have a lifetime learner mentality. A man who stops learning is a man who starts dying. The moment you believe you've learned enough, when you think you've got everything figured out, is the moment you start to wither. Life is movement, growth, and evolution. The second you become stagnant, you start slipping into mediocrity. And nothing is less attractive than a man who is stuck in his ways, closed-minded, and resistant to change. Women are naturally drawn to men who challenge themselves, who seek knowledge, and who are constantly expanding their understanding of the world. Intelligence isn't just about book smarts, it's about curiosity, wisdom, and the ability to think deeply. A man who never stops learning is a man who never stops improving. And a man who never stops improving is a man who is always attractive. Think about the most magnetic men in history. They weren't just physically strong or charismatic. They were thinkers, strategists, visionaries. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics, was an emperor, a warrior, and a scholar. He spent his life studying philosophy, reflecting on human nature, and sharpening his mind. He understood that a man's power isn't just in his physical strength, but in his ability to think, adapt, and evolve. And it's not just about intelligence, it's about depth. A man who reads, explores, asks questions, and challenges his own beliefs has something most men don't: substance. He isn't just surface level. He doesn't rely on small talk or shallow conversations. He can discuss ideas, history, philosophy, psychology, and the world with insight and passion. And that's rare. Women crave depth. They want a man who can teach them something new, introduce them to different perspectives, and keep conversations engaging and meaningful. A man who is a lifetime learner never becomes boring because he's always evolving. He always has something to offer, a fresh insight, a new perspective, a skill they've never seen before. But the man who refuses to learn, who clings to his old beliefs, rejects new information, and refuses to grow, that man becomes predictable. He becomes rigid. And over time, he becomes invisible. Women don't respect a man who is stagnant because stagnation is a slow form of death. So, how do you cultivate this mentality? It's simple: never settle for what you already know. Challenge yourself every single day. Read books. Listen to podcasts. Learn a new skill. Question your own assumptions. Study history. Observe human behavior. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Make learning a daily habit, not just an occasional activity. And don't just absorb knowledge, apply it. A man who gathers information but never uses it is no better than a man who knows nothing. The true power of learning is in execution. If you study a new concept, practice it. If you gain a new perspective, integrate it into your thinking. Growth happens when knowledge meets action. This isn't about trying to impress anyone. It's not about throwing out big words or quoting philosophers to seem intelligent. It's about genuinely expanding your mind and becoming a better, wiser, and more capable man. Women can tell the difference between a man who truly seeks knowledge and a man who just wants to sound smart. And here's the best part: the more you learn, the more confidence you build. A well-read, well-informed man speaks with certainty. He doesn't just repeat what he's heard, he forms his own opinions. He doesn't get rattled by debates, he enjoys them. He doesn't fear new ideas, he welcomes them. That level of mental strength and agility is incredibly attractive. Think about the kind of man who walks into a room and instantly commands respect. He's not the loudest. He's not the most aggressive. He's the one who listens before he speaks, absorbs before he reacts, and shares wisdom when he does talk. People lean in when he speaks because his words carry weight. That's the power of a lifetime learner mentality. It turns you into a man who thinks deeply, speaks wisely, and moves with intelligence. And that kind of man? He stands out. The best men in history didn't just build their bodies. They built their minds. They knew that intellectual strength is just as important as physical strength. If you want to be irresistible, expand your mind, embrace growth, and never stop learning. Because the moment you stop evolving, you start fading into irrelevance. Chapter 6: Confidence and Body Language. You don't need to say a word for people to know you're confident. Your body speaks for you long before your mouth ever does. The way you stand, the way you walk, the way you occupy space, it all sends a message. And if that message is strength, certainty, and purpose, women will take notice. A man who stands tall, moves with intention, and commands the space around him without hesitation will always draw attention. He doesn't need to be the loudest in the room. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. His presence alone demands respect. And that kind of confidence? It's magnetic. But confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about trying to look important or pretending to be someone you're not. True confidence comes from within, from knowing who you are, from being comfortable in your own skin, and from having nothing to prove to anyone. It's quiet, controlled, and unshakable. A truly confident man doesn't fidget, doesn't slouch, doesn't shrink himself to take up less space. He stands firm, open, and steady. His movements are deliberate, not frantic. He makes eye contact that is calm, not desperate. When he speaks, he doesn't rush, he lets his words carry weight. This is the kind of presence that commands respect and attracts admiration. And women feel it. They sense when a man believes in himself. They recognize when he is in control of his own emotions, his own body, his own energy. That's what separates an attractive man from one who is ignored. Because confidence, at its core, is certainty. It's the belief that you deserve to be in the room, deserve to be noticed, deserve to be respected, not because you demand it, but because you embody it. But here's the truth: confidence isn't something you fake. It's something you build. You can't trick your body into believing you're confident if your mind knows you're weak. You can't force your posture to be strong if you don't feel strong within. The only way to radiate real confidence is to earn it. How? Through discipline. Through challenge. Through pushing yourself past your limits until you no longer fear the world, because you have conquered yourself. A man who has faced difficulty and overcome it stands differently. He carries himself with quiet certainty. He has no need for validation. He doesn't seek approval. He knows his worth because he has built it. Look at the most confident men in history. The ones who commanded armies, led revolutions, built empires. They weren't frantic, they weren't insecure, and they sure as hell weren't trying to impress anyone. They carried themselves with an air of absolute certainty, not because they were born with it, but because they had proven themselves to themselves. Women instinctively respond to this. They are drawn to men who exude a natural, effortless sense of control. Because confidence is security. A confident man makes a woman feel safe because he is stable, unshaken, and unbothered by the world's chaos. But a man who lacks confidence? He exposes weakness in ways he doesn't even realize. His posture is unsure, his movements uncertain, his energy scattered. Women don't feel drawn to him, they feel uneasy around him. Because deep down, they know that a man who doesn't trust himself can't be trusted to lead, protect, or handle life's storms. That's why confidence isn't about being flashy, loud, or arrogant, it's about being solid. A confident man has nothing to prove because he already knows who he is. He doesn't need to talk about how great he is. His actions, his demeanor, his energy do the talking for him. And the best part? Confidence is contagious. When you carry yourself with certainty, people react to you differently. Women lean in. Men respect you. Doors open. Opportunities come your way, not because you chase them, but because you attract them. So if you want to radiate confidence, start by earning it. Master your body. Train it to be strong, resilient, and disciplined. A body that is well-built and well-kept naturally moves with confidence. Master your mind. Train it to handle pressure, stay calm, and think strategically. A man with control over his thoughts has control over his presence. Master your emotions. A man who isn't ruled by his impulses exudes an aura of power. Confidence isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about becoming the kind of man who doesn't need to pretend. The kind of man who has conquered himself, who knows his own value, and who walks through life with certainty. And when a man reaches that level of self-assurance, he becomes unstoppable. Chapter 7. Master Emotional Control. The most masculine trait a man can have? Control over his emotions. This is the foundation of true strength. Not physical power. Not wealth. Not dominance. But the ability to remain calm, composed, and unshaken no matter what life throws at you. Weak men react. They let anger, jealousy, frustration, or fear dictate their actions. They lash out, panic under pressure, and let external forces control their internal state. And a man who cannot control himself is a man who will be easily controlled by others, by circumstances, by manipulative people, by the ups and downs of life. A strong man responds. He processes his emotions but does not become a slave to them. He sees things for what they are rather than letting his feelings cloud his judgment. This is why emotional control is not just a sign of masculinity, it is a sign of wisdom. It is the ability to navigate life with a clear mind, steady hands, and an unshakable core. Women are instinctively drawn to men who radiate stability. A man who does not crumble under pressure. A man who does not seek validation or reassurance when times get tough. A man who does not allow emotions to dictate his choices, but instead makes decisions based on logic, reason, and self-discipline. This kind of man is rare, and anything rare is valuable. Think about the men throughout history who were truly respected. They were not the ones who threw tantrums, acted impulsively, or broke down emotionally when faced with adversity. No, the most powerful men, the men who built empires, led nations, and commanded deep respect, were the ones who could face chaos and remain calm. Who could endure hardships without breaking? Who could take an insult, a failure, or a setback and keep moving forward without losing themselves? This is why emotional control is magnetic. A woman may tolerate a man who is rich. She may even find temporary excitement in a man who is loud and aggressive. But the man she will truly respect and crave is the one who never loses control of himself. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, a man gets rejected by a woman. He immediately becomes bitter, lashes out, calls her names, or spirals into self-doubt. His emotions dictate his actions, and now he looks weak, desperate, and immature. In the second scenario, a man gets rejected, but instead of reacting emotionally, he simply smiles, nods, and moves on. He understands that rejection is not a reflection of his worth. He knows that emotions will pass, but his character remains intact. Which man do you think women will find more attractive? Stoicism teaches that the highest form of strength is mastery over oneself. It is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them, processing them, and refusing to be ruled by them. A man who cannot control his emotions will always be at the mercy of external forces, the opinions of others, the unpredictability of life, and his own weaknesses. But a man who masters himself? That man is truly unstoppable. Emotional control also extends to patience and delayed gratification. A weak man wants everything now. He wants attention, validation, and instant rewards. He gets frustrated when things don't go his way immediately. But a man who has emotional control understands the long game. He does not make rash decisions based on temporary emotions. He does not chase after fleeting pleasures at the expense of his long-term goals. He remains steady, focused, and disciplined. And that kind of man? He wins. Women are incredibly perceptive. They can sense when a man is unstable, insecure, or easily rattled. And just as quickly, they can sense when a man is composed, calm under pressure, and emotionally unshaken. The latter is the man they can't resist. Because deep down, every woman wants a man she can trust, a man who won't fall apart when things get difficult. So how do you develop this level of emotional control? It starts with self-awareness. Recognizing when emotions are taking over and making a conscious choice to pause, think, and act rationally instead of impulsively. It requires discipline, training yourself to respond with patience rather than reacting with emotion. And it demands mental toughness, learning to embrace discomfort, endure hardship, and push through challenges without letting them shake you. The truth is, most men today lack emotional control. They let their feelings dictate their entire lives. They get offended easily. They complain. They seek constant reassurance. And because of this, they remain weak. But the few who master their emotions? They stand out. They become commanding, powerful, and magnetic. A man who is calm under pressure, who does not let the world shake him, who moves through life with unbreakable discipline and self-mastery. That's the man women can't resist. Masculinity isn't something you're born with. It's something you cultivate. Through discipline, through action, through mastery of self. Women don't just desire men who have these habits, they crave them. Because a man who embodies strength, control, and purpose is a man who stands above the rest. If this resonated with you, like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Now, go out there and be the man you were meant to be.